you are a parent, okay? You're a mom or a dad, and incidentally, you got 2 young children, okay? Okay, less than 10 years old, young kids, and both of them want to eat or to have the orange, okay? So you got only 1 orange left in the kitchen, only 1 orange left. You got 2 kids, and they are fighting back and forth, all right? Both refusing to give up. Both want this orange. So if you are a mom or a dad or a caretaker, what would you do? So if you could just get a bit of interaction going, type in the chat box, what would you do? So the question is, you have 2 kids. I mean, this is just a play for us to run through this program. So you have 2 young kids, only 1 orange left, fighting for the orange. So if you're a parent, what do you do? So if you type something on the screen here, because of the number of people that we have is about closing to 50 people now, so it's kind of difficult for us to kind of unmute the things. It's get noisy. Thank you so much, Anihita. Thank you, Kim Lan. Thank you, Janice, sharing. Okay, ask them to share cut into 2. Okay, majority. Peel the orange split the sizes among them. Okay, fine. So it's a form of sharing as well. Thank you so much, Cindy, Kylie. I think that's I pronounced it correctly. Cut into 2 halves and share orange juice. Okay, make juice and give it to them. Fantastic sharing. So fantastic. Thank you so much. And well, at least you didn't actually put down the answer. One of the participants previously, we had this course and said, if you fight again, you don't get anything. I'm gonna, the parent will actually confiscate the orange. Okay, at least you didn't do that. Fine. Thank you very much for your brief participation on this. Now, I'd like to maybe highlight something. I'm going to lead this into the context of negotiation. And the point about your answers, those answers like sharing or cutting in half and making orange juice for them to share, not a problem until we have this problem called information gap. Okay, so information gap, it's a very important feature of this thing called negotiation. So when I talk about information gap, so I'm going to type something on the screen, as you can see here, information gap. And you should try to avoid jumping into conclusion with the 2 kids, cutting it in half and everything. What you should try to do or attempt to do is to ask this question. Okay. Those of you who attended my managerial course, I don't encourage to ask this why, but this is another topic. It's about negotiation. Why? Why do you want the orange? Okay, so this is an important. So let's play along. I'm gonna just maybe as you kind of look into that, what are some of the reasons that the kids or the children might answer? So what are some of the possible answers? If you could just type on it, if you ask people, why do you want that orange? So what are some of the possible answers? Okay, if you could just type in the chat box, it'd be fantastic. Don't type on my screen, please. Just type on the chat box. The question is that before you cut the orange into half or make juice for them and share, ask them why do they want the orange. So let's play along. What are some of the possible answers if you ask people why you want an orange? So if you could just type in the chat box, it'd be wonderful. So imagine I'm kind of downgrade you a little bit, you're my kids, and I'm gonna ask you, hey, what do you want in orange? So what is the answers? So if you don't mind, we should start on that. So if you're not sure, maybe I can actually start or kickstart because he wants it. Okay. Vitamin C, yes, both of them love orange, quench my thirst, sweet. Thank you so much. Wonderful question. Tasty, want to try the taste? Great. Love oranges and so on. All right, great, juicy. Now, if I could just type on the screen here on a chat box, right? I'm just kind of maybe, okay, somebody, the answer is to eat it. Okay. I just want a juice, or I want to play with it, or I want to make an orange marmalade, or call it orange jam, etc., etc., etc. Now, here's the point. If both of the people, if they both want the exact same item, then you can talk about, maybe cutting in half and everything. But what we're actually looking for, ladies and gentlemen, is a possibility. I use the word possibility. A possibility of a happy ending, which in a negotiation terms is actually what we call win-win, right? So happy ending. So if you look at this, a possible happy ending is one of them might want to eat it or drink the juice. The other one might just want to use the orange peel. Okay, let me just type something on screen. Sorry, peel. Or one of them might just say, I just want to have the orange skin so that I can actually dry it up and hang it somewhere. I just love the smell of it. So you can see from here, what are the disadvantages of jumping into conclusion in the context of negotiation? You lose the information gap. So that's what we mean by information. So it's a good time for you to extract information in the context of negotiation. Okay, so that's the orange example, yeah. I'm gonna delete the screen a little bit. Now, remember the word that I use, possibility. So there's no guarantee that we're gonna be having happy ending all the time. So that brings us to some techniques. So you have integrative, distributive, and I think all of you are familiar with this thing called win-win, okay? And that's, you try to attempt to do that because by extracting information for both parties who are negotiating, and so you're looking for spots where you can have win-win. But if this is not possible, the key big words is actually possible, right? Then we have this thing called win-lose or lose-lose. So information is important. And so I just want to remind you that if you were to attend this kind of a programs on negotiation, the information is not just the cold hard informations like pricing, money, quality of your product or services. You got the other elements as well. So if you attend the full course, we'll be running role plays. We will definitely be doing role plays, sharing additional tips on what to do. But for this purpose, I just want to add one thing. So you have the things like pricing in negotiation. You have this terms of payments. You have many other things in procurement. But you have also the other element as well, which maybe I just raised one. An example for that is that you also need to know the emotional state of the other person that you're dealing with. Okay, so and people make all kinds of funny decisions depending on what their emotional states are. So this is what we're going to be doing. So we'll be touching on in a full day program. We will be touching on negotiations in the context of rational set of information, and then you have another set which is called the not so rational or the emotional or the feelings part of those things. We'll be talking about that. But back to this win-win and win-lose. Is win-win possible all the time? So we are all adults, and the answer is no. And therefore, we wanted to look into the win-lose, lose-lose opportunity as well. So it represents some opportunity as well, distributive. But for all of us, we would probably agree that you cannot possibly have win-win situation all the time. Okay, so when you don't have that, what do we do? Is that an important thing? So there are certain things that you can't be, really you cannot have a win-win scenario, what we call a zero-sum game. I can give you an example, a very simple example. In your private life, if you want to do some negotiation, you want to buy something, if you go to the night market, you may want to negotiate, or you want to buy something and all that represents an opportunity for you to have some form of negotiation, right? But every time you have the chance to actually, maybe you ask for, if you're a buyer, you want to buy cheaper, right? Reduce price. Now, when you reduce price, if you're just looking at the money alone, if you are able to cut 10% of the cost, then the other party will lose 10% of that amount. So that's what we call the win-lose, okay, scenario. The other scenario, you can of course apply that at work. And the other scenario is that if you wanted to have a job promotion, okay. Now, if you have a job promotion, there are other people who might be eyeing for that position as well. unfortunately, the job promotion, there's only one position vacant. So somehow something is going to give, or someone is going to give. So if you promote, if you successfully get the promotion, then the rest of the people would not get it. So it's a zero-sum game. So therefore, the concept of information gap is hugely significant in the context of negotiation, right? So if you're able to apply that, you're able to play what we call a negotiation jujitsu, and you're able to leverage, even in a win-lose scenario, you're able to convert into hopefully what we call a happier ending. So that is the small contribution on the negotiation itself. So we won't go into too much into that, because remember, this is the introduction or a kind of a webinar for the full day program on that. So that's on negotiation itself. I'm going to take some time to switch to the ideas of what we call the cost reduction. So what we have done is just to give you a snapshot of procurement, how to do it strategically. And then the other part is about inventory management, which I'll just dedicate a bit of time on that as well as we move along. So sneak preview on negotiation, and then the next thing is about inventory management, cost reduction. Okay, so I wanted to start off with this as an example of inventory costs. Here we are not just talking about raw material or finished goods or whatever. It's just a kind of a groupings of inventory costs. And so if you're from procurement, if you're from accounting, you might be familiar with some of those. So here we are actually focusing on two types of, or two groups of costs. And if you are ordering something, if you're buying something, you already have a cost. Okay. So what are some of the examples of ordering costs? If you are not from procurement, doesn't matter. You might be familiar with things like purchase order, right? You might be familiar with things like purchase requisition. You might be familiar with the process of quotation. So those are the kind of things like the paperwork, follow-up, traveling, and etc. So you have an ordering cost. And if you're talking about ordering cost, the other side of the group, the other part of the group is actually what we call carrying or holding cost. It's got two names. Either you carry the stock or you keep the stock or the inventory. So you have two kinds of costs. The big part of that is what we call the opportunity cost, where if you keep a lot of stock, you actually losing the opportunity of this interest cost, and you have other stuff as well, things like insurance, and when you're keeping stock, you have storage costs, you have facilities. You might need air conditioning, you might need some form of protection, etc. Okay, so these are two types of costs. So ordering cost is that when you want to buy something, you have not seen the things that you're intending to buy yet. So the effort that you put in is the ordering cost. But once the inventory or the materials arrive at your location or under your care, is actually the second group of costs, carrying and holding costs. And to play along, I just wanted to maybe give you some input on that. How are we going to balance these two? The dilemma for procurement and inventory management is this. If you do not order enough materials, then the operation stops. And when operation stops, who will be under pressure? The procurement department. All right. But if you order too much inventory, then you would not have a problem of operational problems like stoppages because you don't have inventory to run your operation. But you have another problem, which is the high inventory cost. So that's the whole idea. Now, what to do? How are you going to balance these two? How much are you going to buy? And when are you going to buy it? Are you going to buy it frequently? Are you going to buy it once in a while? And so on. And so to do that, I'm just going to kind of play along with this. And so we'll see how it goes. And I'm just going to type something on the screen here to get us to kind of play along with it. So here's a scenario. Yeah, this is a fictitious introduction to what we wanted to do for this. Let's assume that you need 12 bottles of shampoo per year. Okay, small little bottle, 12 bottles a year. I put 12 because it's easy, like once a month, right? So at the moment, you're out of stock. You don't have shampoo. And then, of course, you need to buy. Okay. Now, here's the question, right? How many bottles would you buy if there's no sales? Okay. So now I'm just giving you the information, assuming that we need 12 bottles of shampoo per year, and you are out of shampoo now. So you just need to, wash your hair today, and you got to buy it, and there is no sales. So how many bottles would you buy now? So if you could just type in the answers on the screen, that would be very, very helpful for us to get along. Thank you. 1. Thank you, Cindy. 6. Kikun says 1. Says 6. Janice 1. Thank you very much. Half 2. Okay. Thank you, Severaj. Lei Hong 1. Majority more towards like 1 or 2 or 3 bottles. Here's my question. We're going to type something. Nobody put 12. Why not? Change suppliers or shampoo that have sales. Okay. So we'll come to the sales later. Xiaohui loves shopping. Thank you, Xiaohui. Why not 12? Lei Hong says no sale. Okay, understandable. So here's my point. I'm just going to shift to the 2 extreme, right? You're going to type something here. If you buy 1 bottle, okay, you will increase what cost? So you have 2 options. So it's an objective question, yeah. Carrying cost that you keep stock. Ordering cost is the cost that you actually have to go through the process of purchasing the stock. So if you only buy 1 bottle, you will increase your cost. But what kind of cost if you only buy 1 bottle? Okay, so I see some response. Thank you very much. Absolutely right. Anihita, you're right. Cindy, yeah, Lei Hong, yeah, ordering cost. That's absolutely right. So I'm just going to group it here. You're going to increase this cost because the fact is, if you buy 1 bottle at a time, the mathematics is very simple. You need to buy 12 times. Sorry, my spelling. Okay, you got to buy 12 times. Okay, so what it means is that you got to spend the effort. You've got 12 sets of work, 12 times per year. So I'm just making the information a little bit more complete. So 12 times a year. So if you're going to increase your ordering cost because you buy 12 times a year, but you save on carrying costs. Okay, because you only carry 1 bottle. Okay, so that's fair game, yeah? Okay. And if you were to buy 12, you get the reverse effect. Okay, so if you buy 12 bottles at 1 go, you will save your ordering cost because you only order 1 time. Okay, so it may disappoint those who love shopping, but from a rational point of view, if you buy 12 bottles in 1 go, you only need to buy 1 time. So you save your ordering cost. But of course, if you don't have happy ending, you have the chance now to incur carrying costs because now you're actually carrying 12 bottles. Okay, so it is unfortunately not a superb perfect ending. So it is, as far as the relationship between these 2 are concerned, it is actually what we call an inverse relationship. You save 1 cost, what kind of cost, you're going to increase the other. And conversely, it's the same thing. So that's how it works. So this is a challenge, okay, for this balancing act. And thankfully, we have a sweet spot. And the sweet spot is if you're able to buy, you're able to find that sweet spot, meaning the cost that you add together for both carrying and ordering, if you can find that sweet spot, the lowest total between these two, then we have a name for that. It's actually called EOQ. So EOQ stands for economic order quantity. Okay. So the meaning of EOQ is, remember we're just talking about dilemma just now, right? So you're not able to, how do you balance these two, right? Carrying cost and ordering cost. And the answer is you got to find the EOQ. So the economic order quantity will give you the right balance between these two. When I say these two is that when you add the carrying cost and the ordering cost together, the total of these two costs is the lowest among all. So when you attend my course, there's a formula for that. It's a scientific formula. So this is actually veering towards the hard skills, the technical topic now, because soft skills are good like negotiation, but you need a bit of hard skills as well to scientifically manage this, right, in a mathematical sense. But we won't be doing the mathematics as of yet now. Economic order quantity, there is a program, there's an operational formula for that. So we'll share that with you. But I can show you the graphical implication of what we have just talked about, shampoo example. Right? So let me just clear the stuff away to avoid any confusion. As you can see, what we're going to be doing, just to show you, okay. So this part is the cost, the vertical column, and this is the quantity that you buy, like 1 bottle, 2 bottles, until 12 bottles of shampoo, right? So the quantity, x-axis. And if you pay attention to this, this is the ordering cost curve, and this is the carrying cost curve. And you can see that there, as I've said just now, their relationship is the inverse, okay, the inverse. What is important is this one, the total cost. Okay, so now the total cost is the, when you add these two together, there's also a formula for that. When you add these two together, you have the total cost. And the sweet spot is the one that you can see on the screen here, red dot. Meaning, if you can just type something here. So when you are looking at this, if I just put the scale, okay, this is 1 bottle. And towards the end here, this is 12 bottles. Okay, so remember, I'm just going to use a shampoo example, yeah? So you have 1 bottles here, you have 12 bottles here. Okay, so when you buy 1 bottle, your carrying cost here, the cost will be very low because you only buy 1. You only carry 1 stock, 1 unit of stock. But correspondingly, your carrying cost is low, but the ordering cost will be very high for 1 bottle. And for 12 bottles, your ordering cost will be low because you only order 1 time. Remember the shampoo example. But you have to carry extra 11 to 12 bottles of stock. Hence, these two are higher. So it add up, the cost looks like this. Okay, so the answer to these particular questions, I can show you, I will show you in a workshop in a full day program that there's a mathematical sweet spot for this. So if you buy 1 bottle, the cost is high. You buy 12 bottles, the cost is high. There's a sweet spot in between this number. But the in between doesn't necessarily have to be exactly 6 bottles, like half, right? So anywhere in between 1 to 2, the only can be reviewed when you put in the numbers and we can actually compute that. Okay, so that is the concept behind this particular idea on managing this. Okay, so that's economic order quantity. And so as we move from here, I just want to make sure that you're able to manage this, right? When we actually handle this EOQ, the EOQ is actually very useful for repetitive order. Like shampoo, you gotta order all the time. If you eat a lot of rice, then you gotta buy a lot of these things regularly. So regular purchase, EOQ. Okay. But of course, when we run the program, we would like to make it as pragmatic and as practical as possible. So we also want to cater for, what about those infrequent purchases, those things that you buy only once in a while. That would include services as well. If you are actually in procurement, you probably have to engage services of people who are perhaps repairing your air conditioning system, the breakdowns of machineries, equipments, etc. So those are the things that we actually talked about. And the good news is, in that program, EOQ is for frequent purchases. I'm going to show you the next slide. For infrequent purchases, there are another set of things that we work through with you as well. Okay, so I'm going to share with you. And you see on the screen here, an example of what we call these infrequent purchases, like things like maintenance, repair, overhaul. So those are not so frequent. On the screen, when you see this stuff here, okay, when we are talking about this is actually very good for EOQ, where the quantity is large and very frequent buying. So now what I wanted to do is to look into this side, the other side, where the frequency of buying is not so regular. Okay, so what are the techniques that we have? So we'll be sharing that with you in a very short while. And those techniques are related to productivity. Okay, so, and let's move on to this. So what I would like to work through with you for infrequent, as you can see on the screen here, not so frequent, irregular purchase. There are many techniques. So I'll just show you a couple of ideas. So the one that I just want to show you very quickly, the first one is called straight line. It's very easy, very simple. And then I'll show you the linear regression. After that, I'm going to change the screen to Excel spreadsheet. Yeah. So for straight lines, if you wanted to buy something that's actually irregular, straight line, as the name suggests, you're talking about comparing with two things. On the screen here, this is just from one of my customers, right? You can, by the way, you can use this for manufacturing. You can use this for service industry. It works the same. So if you're buying spare part as an example, if you're manufacturing, you're talking about output. If you are not from manufacturing, you're talking about sales, okay? You're talking about other stuff. That's fine. But you're actually comparing two variables. You want to buy a spare part, a set of spare part, in order for you to get something. You can even compare salary to replace the spare part column, or you can actually compare stuff, say, overtime, incentives, and then you can compare with your sales. You can actually compare the air conditioning upgrading or office repair, office maintenance job with sales and other stuff as well. So I'm just showing you just a sample on how this can be done. So when I say straight line, you kind of prepare this set of information and then you put it in the graphical format. And the reason I like graphical format is because the table itself doesn't actually show you any pattern. Okay, so the graph, if you can put it in a chart, prepare the table. After that, you draw in a chart. If the points happen to more or less look like a straight line, then what you can do is you can total up everything here. At the bottom, you can see the total. And straight away, you can take the average. The total of this divided by the total of this, you get a number. And that number will help us to actually calculate whether you have or you haven't got any opportunity to look into cost savings in our topic called inventory management. So how are you going to manage the cost for, remember, this is for infrequent or irregular purchases or procurement. All right, so that's straight lines. Very simple. Just take the total, take the average, and then compare from there. So we will not be doing the calculation today, but I just want to show you how it's done. The other thing that I would like to work through showing you is what we call a linear regression approach. So this approach is another technique on how you can actually look into quantifications of numbers and so on. So what I'll be doing is I'm gonna change the screen now, but just to show you, linear regression will be working in this area. We're using Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so to establish the relationship between two things. Okay, so I will kind of change the screen a little bit. So just stop the sharing. We'll start a new share. New share, just looking at, all right. Okay, so this is an example of this. I mean, maybe I'll just type something over here for you to make a sense of what we have. Let's say you wanted to buy office supplies. Okay, not something that is actually not very frequent, or you can actually have, say, services or maintenance. Anyway, your stock is for office supply, right? This is like, say, thousands of dollars, okay? And then you have your own tracking sales, okay? So again, this is also, it's just as an example, just pump in some numbers, yeah? So in thousands of dollars. Now, how do you look into that in the context of this? First step, ladies and gentlemen, you got to establish, remember just now the straight line, we have the ability to look at the relationship between these two items, right? Straight line. But this one, you can't tell. So because we don't have straight lines all the time, so as a result of that, we'll do what we call the correlation. So what you do is that you type this word correl in a spreadsheet, and then you're comparing your office supplies costs with your sales to see whether you should be doing any cost savings or if there's any improvement or not. Then you type in, and then you have this answer in the yellow box. So I'm gonna make it a slightly bigger. Okay, that's this number that you wanted to look into. Now this number, ladies and gentlemen, is always between this set. Just type something on the screen here. It's always between -1 to +1. Okay, it's always like that. If you don't have this range, -1 to +1, it can only mean one thing. Your smartphone or your computer have virus. Okay, so I'm just having a light moment when doing that. And the point is this, the standard that typically people use would be this. Maybe I'll just type something on the screen here. Okay, from this number, okay, and this number. Okay, so if you find mathematics boring, no problem, because we're using Excel spreadsheet. I'm just giving you the fundamentals. These two set, if the number in the yellow box fall within the numbers in the, let's say, blue box, okay, so I just repeat. If the number in the yellow box falls within the range of the blue box numbers, -0.5 to -1, 0.5 to 1, then the correlation is strong. Okay, in this case, you should proceed into managing your cost reduction, and I'll show you exactly how when you attend the program, a full day program. But this is just to highlight to you that things can be done scientifically, mathematically, to actually help us. So it'd be a wonderful tool to have, not just the negotiation itself, which is part of the soft skills, very important, but you also need a bit of technical and hard skills as well. Okay, in our context called cost reduction for procurement, right? Inventory management. Now, if your number is out of this blue box range, then out of blue box range, I've just typed something on the screen. So we call that weak correlation. So in this case, you should forget about saving cost because it's not a productivity saving. So you might as well move on to something else. So usually when we look into the fact that if it's weak, we move into something else. If it's strong, then we proceed. So I'm just type something here. I'll just let you know. Okay, now just to maybe get you to get, take part in this, look at the number in the yellow box, which is this one, number in the yellow box. Is that weak or strong? So I'm just looking at the number in the yellow box and then compare it with my information in the blue box. Is that weak or strong? So if it's weak, you type W, strong, you type S. Thank you. So we have Shirley, Xiaohui, different answers, no problem. The answer is actually weak. So, and the reason it's weak is because it is negative 0.07. Okay. If it is negative 0.7, then it's strong. Okay, it's negative 0.07. That's additional 0. And because of that, it's weak. And because it's weak, this column, this portion of the supply, you try to move into something else so that you can actually compare your level of procurement, inventory management, or cost savings for actually related to sales or related to some other productive form of measurement. So you should say goodbye to this. Maybe you change something else. For example, salespeople, they may have incentives or commission. Okay. Example, I'm going to change some numbers now, ladies and gentlemen. When I change the number within this area, could you please look at both the chart, the graph, and the number in the yellow box? Okay, number in the yellow box. So I will kind of change something over here. Okay. Okay, now when I change something like this, you can see the change in the graph as well as the change in the number of the yellow box, right? So now we can confidently say that this is very strong. If it is strong, we proceed with the ability to look into that. Now, of course, I just type incentive and commission because procurement has got nothing to do with incentive commission, just to show this. So we also want to ignore that. So what about if you kind of buy something like, if procurement is responsible for paying for entertainment, the sales department, you go and do sales, you may have to claim entertainment and sort of things. So you can look into that. And so I can tell you good news. Entertainment costs are the areas that you need to look into in order to manage the procurement costs, if indeed entertainment is actually under you. Now, watch, it's very important that we get the message right? We are not asking you to cut the entertainment or to increase the entertainment costs for the sales. We're just saying that there is a strong relationship between these two. It is worth looking into. And the worst thing that you want to avoid is overpaying for results and, overpaying for poor results, underpaying for good results. I'm talking about this entertainment. So I'm just making sure that they're in sync. Okay, so that's my brief contribution towards this particular set of example. Just going to stop the screen share. We're going to go back to the idea of the whole staff. Okay, over here. All right, so we have a bit of time for a question, but as of now, I just want to let you know this is the this is the things that we have for this particular program. It's actually next month. We have already participants signing up for that. So if you sign up now, there's a 20% discount using the QR code for this particular slide. So we have a bit of time for questions. And so if you have any question, I will try to or attempt to answer that. If you can type the question in the chat box. So it's a quick tour. Now, okay, to summarize, the strategic procurement and inventory management course consists of two big topics that we will be covering. The first one is how to equip you with the skills to strategically handle procurement. That would include things like negotiation and other stuff. And the other part is about inventory management, sharing with you some technical specific skills on how to actually manage the cost. So if you wanted to be a hero or heroine for cost reduction, it is a possible things that you can actually do. You can learn something and take it away from there. So if you have no further question, I hopefully see you on July 15. If not anything, if you have any questions, you can type in for the administrator for Aventis. I thank you for your time. Let me check if there's any question. There's none. Okay, great. Thank you so much for all of your time. I hope all the best to you. Thank you, Kikun. Cheers. Bye-bye. Thanks, Lei Hong, Shirley. Silveraj, Nandri. I can speak a bit of Tamil, I think. Nandri. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Share. Thank you. Nandri. All right, all the best in your career. So by the way, please stay healthy and we'll catch up when we see each other again. Thank you so much. Pleasure is all mine.